to Sovereign Conversations with the Soul Attorney, the podcast where law, leadership, and liberation collide. I'm your host, Vanessa Locicero, lawyer, entrepreneur, energy worker, and your guide to building a business and life that's truly sovereign. Here, we challenge the status quo, outdated business rules, and explore what it really means to be sovereign in your life and work. Whether we're breaking down legal essentials, tapping into spiritual downloads and the power of intention, or we're having deep, unfiltered conversations with visionary entrepreneurs, healers, and thought leaders, every episode is designed to help you step into your power, protect what matters, and create your life on your own terms. So if you're ready to create a life and business rooted in belief, power, and purpose, take a deep breath, step into your sovereignty, because court is now in session.
Oh, 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 oh.
Welcome back to another episode of Sovereign Conversations with the Soul Attorney. There's a really big difference between growing pains and that full body no, that visceral feeling between, putting yourself in the fire that forges you, pressure that makes diamonds, and fire that burns you out. Big difference. Most of us were taught to ignore that difference, to equate working harder, exhaustion with excellence, with earning a badge of honor, Today's episode is going to get a little personal because here's the truth that I've learned. You can grow and you can expand and you can stretch yourself without snapping, and you can move beyond your comfort zone without totally abandoning yourself and your nervous system. And so, I want to share my story of burnout and overcoming obstacles because I found a new definition of growth when I was in a really transitional time in my life, coming out of law school and pushing myself to become a certain type of lawyer, and really experienced burnout in that arena. And then later on, when I launched my business and I celebrated my 3rd year anniversary this week, in like year 1 and year 2, and, even in early on in this year, I really experienced some, nervous system shifting type of burnout experiences and needed to do a bit of resetting. So I'm excited to dive in and share a little bit of vulnerability with you today to help, demonstrate through my own experience, the lesson that you can get grit, you can get gritty, you can grind, and you can do that all without burning yourself to dust. So if you've been wondering if you can grow and if feeling uncomfortable is okay for you, then this episode is for you. So let's get ready to dive in, my friends, because court is now in session. Awesome. So I want to take you guys back. I know I go there often, but burnout comes in so many different ways, so many different experiences caused by different things. And I think when we are in it, it's really hard to identify that we're actually experiencing burnout. So when I first experienced burnout, that I actually understood as burnout, because probably there were times in the past when, it happened, but I just put my head down and worked through it. But the first time I actually spoke to a doctor, spoke to a naturopath, and had someone kind of say, hey, Vanessa, your adrenal system needs a minute, was right after law school. I had just become a lawyer and started my journey, and I was working all hours, doing all the things at this downtown law firm, the dress code, the commute on the subway, sardines, an office room with no windows for at least 12 hours a day on end. I was sick on paper. I had a great job. Everything was good. I had great files, awesome clients, all of the things. But on the inside, I was like a struggle bus. I was unraveling. I like to tell the story. Like, it's so true. I would leave the office Friday night at like 6:30, go directly to therapy for an hour, talk to my therapist about how, I was doing. And then from there, I would get in the car and drive 2 hours at least to come north of the city to where I live now. Just for the weekend to, I would stay with my, family. And Monday morning, like 5 a.m., I would get in the car and drive back to the city. So there were signs that I was just not, solid and loving the lifestyle that I was living. And I remember vividly this one experience where, it was like the middle of the afternoon and I hadn't eaten all day and I was, coffee and cigarettes kind of lifestyle. And I just thought to myself, my body's like eating itself. Like there were just so many signs. I had such an unhealthy lifestyle going on just to keep up and keep going, keep pushing myself and forcing myself to grind and get into it and go, that I just thought, like, is this really it? Like, I worked so hard to create this vision of this life. And I often say, like, I thought I wanted to be Miranda from Sex and the City. I thought I wanted to be in court every day, defending clients in an adversarial manner. But it was a combination of, entering the legal profession with a very limited understanding of how legal services are provided and how any professional services are provided for that matter. And, I thought we had to like go through the traditional hiring process and go through the large firm interview process. And I did all of those things. And along the way, had certain successes that kind of let me in, but also huge rejections that really showed me like, this is not the place for me. And I'm so grateful for all of those things in retrospect. At the time, maybe not. But it was like, it wasn't just being too busy. It was being out of alignment. It was grinding towards a dream and a vision that no longer felt worth it. And I think the energy behind that really like took the wind out of my sails, and which, I thought I was tired, but I was just tired of pretending that I had, reached this level of success that I had worked towards for so long, but really was like not actually happy or satisfied with any of it. And something that I really had to reflect on, and I have a tattoo on my arm that says, listen to the whispers of your soul moment by moment. And I come back to it a lot. That's why I put it on my skin. But the idea that like that burnout, that feeling of something's just not right, it's not loud. It's not like a huge, sign from the universe in your face. It's like all those little niggles, all those icks, all those feelings that you're like, this can't be it. Heaven forbid, right? Like I just felt like all the hard work, everything I was doing just wasn't working. And that took a physical toll on me mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So like when I left that job, I didn't automatically like leap into being an entrepreneur and start my law firm right away. I had to figure out my next steps and put my nervous system into a place of safety and, allow myself to decompress. And so it wasn't about taking all of the risk off and abandoning law and, never staying in this profession that I worked so hard for, which I'll tell you, there were so many times where I, said to my parents and my partner, like, I don't know if this is the right job for me. I don't know if this is for me. But it was because I was doing it in a way that felt not for me. And I just needed to have, some revelation, open my eyes, open my understanding of what else was out there to allow me to even like envision anything beyond that. And it was actually the unfortunate events of the pandemic and the fact that like forced the legal profession into the future, which allowed me to even conceptualize running a law firm, having the ability to do law my own way, serve clients in whatever way felt aligned for me, without all the overhead and all the traditional barriers to entry that there can be for not just lawyers, but other professionals, other service providers who are out there. In the past, there was the way things were done, and the pandemic really, gave me time to pause and decide for myself what direction I wanted to grind in the direction of. So it was just envisioning how I wanted to put my energy into which basket, and I think that whole process allowed me to gain the truth that I needed, the reflection that I needed to identify, okay, what is it that I actually value? What is it that I want to do? Because taking a step back from burnout didn't mean like I didn't want to hide. I didn't want to backtrack in my career. I wanted to heal and continue to grow and continue to expand. But I wanted to do it in a way that I wasn't grinding towards, a bucket with a hole in it and, have all that hard work be for naught at the end of the day. So yeah, that identification of the values and the things that were driving me, those true deep factors, allowed me to get clear on what vision I wanted to create. And then it helped me to identify the gap. And it's in that gap where the discomfort happens. So it can be a beautiful discomfort. It can be a little bit of challenge, because we do know that growth requires effort. Growth requires stepping outside of your comfort zone. But it doesn't, growth requires that discomfort. But what it doesn't require is that disconnection. And I think the disconnection is what leads to burnout, because you can feel discomfort. You can feel a little icky. You can feel like, oh my God, I've never done something like this before. Your heart can race. You can sweat. You can have all the visceral reactions that your body's going to say, holy shit, this is not safe for me to do. I mean, like, okay, that's within reason, of course. Like, I'm not saying to do anything that your body is actually telling you not to do. First of all, listen to your body. But what I mean is, feel the fear and do it anyway, asterisk, right? Like the asterisk is obviously be safe and don't do anything dangerous and whatever disclaimers I need to say to keep that within reason. But the idea that when you're building a business, when you're pivoting, when you're not even just building a business, when you're building a career, when you're building a family, when you're building a partnership, all of these things that you do in life that move you from where you are now to where you want to be and cross that gap, they require a little bit of discomfort. And so I think what really helped me as I started to identify what my values were, what my drivers were, what I wanted to envision for myself, was a couple questions to check in with how I feel in my grind towards my goal from time to time. So if you're on the grind and you're trying to decide whether you're just feeling the stretch or you're feeling out of alignment, here's a couple questions that maybe you can ask yourself that can offer, some time for reflection. So something I really like to just think about from an energetic perspective is, am I excited or am I drained? Like, let's start with the basics. Where's your energy at on whatever you're doing? Do you feel resentment? Do you feel icky? Do you feel every time you want to think about doing this thing? Or are you excited? Are you a little scared? Are you, anticipating what's going to come from it? So do a gut check, do a physical body check with yourself, because there's so much data just like in your own self. So sit with that for a bit first. Another thing that is super important when it comes to determining this is someone shooting on you here, or are you shooting on yourself? And I'm saying shooting, not shitting, but it's the same thing. Don't act from a place of should or from pressure. Are you acting out of pressure? Are you acting out of, obligation for someone else? Or are you acting because it's in alignment with your deeper vision and you've set a course and now you're like, fine. An easy distinction to kind of think about this is, am I, like when you go to the gym, for example, am I going to the gym with a positive attitude that every rep I put in is making me stronger, adding towards my longevity, keeping my body, in great shape and feeling good and all of that? Or am I going to the gym because, I feel pressure from so and so to look a certain way, or those shoulds, that negative extra weight that comes with a decision or comes with an energy that is going to be draining, that is going to be something that pulls you out of alignment and out of that good feeling when you're grinding towards a goal. Because then you're doing it for someone else. You're not doing it for your own self, for your own highest expansion of yourself. And it won't stick. It won't feel good to just do and do and do. You're going to hate it. You're going to resent it. There's another question that I think is really important too is, if you're in a stretch phase, if you're doing something that is outside your comfort zone, and you're in that, what can you do to fuel your nervous system, to support your body in the stretch? Now, it might be like, not a physical stretch, obviously, but something that you're doing in your network, in your business development, in your relationship building, certain conversations you're having or engaging in. How can you support yourself to put yourself in a position to be your best self when you're doing those things? So really, it's like, yes, you're stretching, you're leaning into what feels good and what is in alignment with your goal. But you're also balancing, the burn, the grit. Like when you go to the gym and it's, strength day and you're lifting weights, it's not supposed to be easy. The last reps are supposed to be challenging because that's where you get that growth in. So, I really want to leave you today with just the idea that there can be a beautiful dance between being uncomfortable, stretching your capacity, stretching where you're at, your boundaries, your self-imposed limitations and limitations that others put on you. There are a lot of exciting feelings that come from stretching and growth because it is sacred. Growth is your evolution. I love to come back to the analogy that we are all beautiful flowers in the world. And when you act in alignment with what feels good for you, you are blossoming like the beautiful flower that you are. Every petal of yours is different from somebody else. And so when you put your energy towards blossoming like the flower that you are, instead of like the flower someone else is, because you think, oh, those are nice flowers. Well, you're the kind of flower that you really are on the inside. And when you feel good, you raise to that fullest expression of who you are. And I want you to get it when you're pivoting, when you're launching, when you're changing something. it's a blender. It doesn't always feel awesome to move through a stretch. But if you act in alignment with what feels good, you check in with your body and you support your own nervous system through the process in whatever ways are good for you, you should avoid that feeling of grinding towards a goal that means nothing to you. And hopefully set yourself on the track towards putting in your, heart-centered effort every day towards something that you're going to be so happy and grateful for your future self for building day by day by day. Even though the grind sucks, even though putting in the reps is the work, if you can feel good in the work, like Abraham Hicks says, feeling good is the work. So can we feel good every day while we're in our grind towards our goal? Because to me, that is how we treat this business of life, like a marathon. When we treat it like a sprint and we go at the sacrifice of everything else because of a should or because of some external reason, then it's not in alignment and it's not something that's going to make us feel good. So if you are in a period where you're feeling a little bit burnt out from life, I want to say I'm proud of you because it just means you've been giving so much to the current version of yourself right now. But my invitation for you is to think about a new version for yourself. Can you envision a reality that doesn't feel the way this one does? Can you write a new story? I want you to know that if you are in the feeling of wanting to, burning it all to the ground, there can be power in that, but it doesn't have to get that far. So I want you to feel supported to stretch and expand and grow because there's beauty in that. And I'm really happy that I got the opportunity to share my story with you. And I did just touch on my burnout story from, the first time it kind of happened. Because I think the second time it happened as I was launching my business, I kind of had a handle on it a little bit better. And it just goes hand in hand with the idea that building a business, building a life, building something you're proud of, building a life that gives you sovereignty, building a routine and a direction in life that allows you to be the fullest expression of yourself is a dance because it takes effort and it takes making sure we, take care of ourselves as well as take care of the vision of our life we're creating for the future. So, you're not lazy for needing rest. You're not lazy. You're not broken for feeling burnt out. You're just ready to lead from soul. So hopefully this aligned with you today. And my friends, court is now in recess.
Oh, 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 oh.
That's a wrap for this episode of Sovereign Conversations with the Soul Attorney. If today's conversation sparked something in you, let's keep that momentum going. Head on over to www.thesoulattorney.com to grab free resources, explore my membership community, The Cornerstone, and step even deeper into your power. And don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time, my friends, keep leading, keep trusting, and keep building your empire on your own terms. See you soon.